Number 10. Fleeing in an Uber. In 2021, an Uber driver in Miami was charged as being an accessory to a hit-and-run after helping the driver who committed the crime escape. Sharon Martinez Lazaro, 27 years old, drove her Dodge Charger directly at a homeless woman, nearly running her over, then hit a tree and crashed into a storefront. Sharon then got out of her vehicle wearing a long dress and heels, and she called for an Uber. The homeless woman picked up her belongings and ran away. Sharon took her suitcase from the trunk of her ruined car, then she sat patiently and waited for an Uber to come pick her up so that she could flee the scene of the crime. It took a while for the Uber to arrive, and a crowd of concerned citizens had gathered. As Sharon calmly walked away as if nothing had happened, the crowd yelled that she needed to stay and talk to the police. Sharon got into her Uber anyway, ignoring the angry mob, and the driver left the scene. The folks in the crowd had enough video evidence for the police to track down Sharon and the driver both. Sharon was arrested and charged with fleeing the scene of an accident and property damage. The driver, Bobby Stone, was charged with accessory after the fact. He knew she was trying to flee an accident, and he helped her do it anyway. Number 9. Walmart horror. For Justin Wade Gardner, 2023 started off violently. As Justin drove through the parking lot of a Walmart supercenter, he was overcome by a sudden urge to cause chaos. Justin smashed his car into 8 other vehicles and intentionally tried to run 2 women over. As he went through the parking lot, he purposely struck 2 pedestrians with his vehicle in an attempt to apparently murder them. Then, as he tried to flee the scene of his botched murders, he crashed into 8 different cars. 4 of the cars had people in them, but 4 weren't even moving. South Carolina state troopers believe Justin may have driven to the Walmart specifically to look for victims. One of his victims was Caitlin Hummel. She told local news that Justin drove into the car return stand, jarring it out of place but missing her. He hit the cart return so hard that it dislodged, bumping into Caitlin. Realizing he had missed his opportunity, the driver then went for another woman and hit her hard enough to knock the lady off her feet. There was an explosion of chaos in the Walmart parking lot, and Justin tried to flee the scene before he was pulled out of his vehicle by an angry mob. That was when he hit the 8 cars as he tried to pull off an escape. The police soon caught up to Justin and made the arrest. He has already been charged with 4 counts of assault and battery and trying to flee the scene of an accident. Number 8. Chris Soules. Chris Soules enjoyed a brief 15 minutes of fame when he starred in the 19th season of The Bachelor. Maybe it was a little longer than 15 minutes, but his fame has dried up ever since he tried to flee the scene of a fatal crash. In Iowa in 2017, Chris slammed his tractor-trailer into another vehicle, killing the other driver. Chris didn't immediately run away from the scene. First, he administered CPR to the victim, then he called 911, and he even waited for the paramedics to arrive. It was the police that seemed to freak Chris out because he made sure to leave before they arrived. But he had already given out his name, and so it didn't take long for the police to track him down and arrest him. This started a chain reaction of events that left Chris short millions of dollars and being sentenced to 2 years in prison. Chris originally managed to avoid a trial by demoting the charge from fleeing the scene of a deadly accident to leaving the scene of a personal injury accident. The lesser charge knocked 3 years off the potential prison sentence. Then a wrongful death lawsuit was placed against Chris by the family of the victim, Kenneth Mosher. Chris and his parents shelled out $2.5 million in damages. And finally, 2 years after that day in April, when Chris's radical driving killed a person, he was sentenced. Judge Andrea Dreyer gave the former bachelor a suspended sentence of 2 years in prison, meaning he wouldn't have to serve time behind bars. He was also given 2 years of probation and ordered to pay a fine of $625. Number 7. Self-snitching car. In 2015, Kathy Bernstein crashed into a truck and a van, then fled the scene. According to police, Kathy was driving her Ford vehicle along Northwest Prima Vista Boulevard in Port Lucie, Florida, when she rammed into the side of the truck and the van. Her airbag went off, hitting her in the face and obscuring her view. But she still hit the gas pedal and sped away from the scene. At first, it looked like Kathy was going to make a clean getaway. However, she was betrayed by her own vehicle. Kathy was on her way to an easy escape when her car's 911 assist system connected her car telephone directly to the police. The system is designed to respond to an accident and automatically call the cops. The whole point of the system is to send response vehicles in the case the driver is unconscious or unable to phone the authorities themselves. In this case, the car gave the cops Kathy's exact location and all her personal details. Now unintentionally on the phone with the 911 operator, Kathy tried to talk her way out of it. She insisted that she had not been involved in a car accident, saying her car had not been hit at all. However, police officers saw through her lies. They already knew an accident had taken place and that someone had fled the scene, and they had her exact location. The police met Kathy at her own home, where her damaged Ford car was parked outside, with the airbag still inflated. Even still, Kathy tried to deny that she was in any kind of hit and run. She claimed she hit a tree, even though she had damaged the front and back of her vehicle. In the end, there was just no way for Kathy to talk her way out of it. She was charged with a hit and run and taken to St. Lucie County Jail. Number 6. Rundown in Vegas. In September of 2016, a man was wanted for questioning in connection to a shooting. As the individual was driving his vehicle through Las Vegas, detectives tried to stop him in the area along US 95. It was believed that several days earlier the man got into a shootout in a mobile home park 2 miles, 3.2 kilometers away, and almost killed somebody. There was no warrant out for the individual's arrest, but detectives were fairly certain he was the man who pulled the trigger. When they tried to pull him over, he panicked. And that was when everything went horribly wrong. The man immediately hit the gas and tried to escape the police. He led them on a brief chase northbound on US 95, got off on Boulder Highway, and made his way back onto the freeway. That was when he lost control of his vehicle and smashed into a wall. With his car ruined, the man got out on foot and tried to flee across the northbound lane. As he ran, he was mowed down by a semi-tractor trailer and killed. All he needed to do was stop his car and let the police talk to him, but instead he ran out into traffic and died. Number 5. Losing the loot. A man walked into a Mike's Sub restaurant in 2018 in Rancho Bernardo, San Diego, pistol-whipped an employee and ran off with some cash. But the thief's getaway didn't go quite as planned. He dropped his loot as he tried to flee the scene and wound up getting away with nothing. The incident began a little after 10:45 p.m. An employee was closing up the restaurant when the suspect entered through the back door. The robber forced the employee to open the cash register, then forced the employee to open the safe. The thief received a whole heap of money in an envelope, hit the employee with his gun for no reason, then took off out the back door. The victim suffered a nasty laceration to their head but was otherwise okay, minus the trauma. But then the thief's whole plan fell apart. As he attempted to flee, he ran straight into a pillar, dropping his money everywhere. The suspect was so panicked to escape that he left his money scattered on the ground and took off across a pedestrian bridge. Last we heard, the police never even caught him. He wore dark pants, black running shoes, a black bandana, and a black hoodie pulled tight around his face. He may have escaped without facing any charges, but he left behind his stolen cash. Number 4. Driving the dollar van. In March of 2020, a man driving a dollar van plowed his vehicle directly into the back of a cyclist. The accident happened near the intersection of Avenue U and Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn around 5 p.m. It's not clear why the driver hit the cyclist, but he definitely tried to get away after. He slammed into the back of the bike, sending the cyclist flying over his handlebars to be crushed under the wheels of the minibus. Then 42-year-old Kwadwo Fozu tried to make a desperate escape. He hit the gas, hightailed it out of there, but was immediately apprehended by witnesses. Good Samaritans saw what happened, blocked the guy in, and held him under citizen's arrest until the police showed up. According to the cops, the cyclist was in critical condition, but not deceased. The driver was booked and charged with aggravated unlicensed operation of a vehicle. He didn't even have the proper license to be driving the dollar van. He was also charged with leaving the scene of an accident and failure to use caution. Number 3. Moped fireball. In September of 2022, a man on a moped tried to flee the scene of a crime, got into a police chase, and drove his moped into the side of an NYPD patrol car in Queens. The accident happened in the early hours of Friday morning, following a shootout. As the suspect fled the scene of the shooting, police gave chase. They got into a position where they could block traffic and box the driver of the moped in. But instead of slowing down or trying to avoid the blockade, the guy on the moped drove straight into the side of a cop car and exploded in a massive ball of fire. The moped's gas tank ruptured and the whole thing exploded on impact. The driver was propelled over the handlebars and into the police cruiser like a crash test dummy. After that, the suspect curled up on the ground in a fetal position as he started to catch fire. Good Samaritans and NYPD officers pulled the driver out of the flames, likely saving his life. He was then taken to the hospital and treated for minor injuries. The moped was left scorched and ruined, and the NYPD car was black and charred, as if it had been hit by a meteor. Number 2. To steal a catalytic converter. In Cumberland County, Pennsylvania, a suspected catalytic converter thief accidentally ran over his partner as the pair tried to flee the scene of a crime. It happened around 6 in the morning on a Saturday in late 2022. Pennsylvania State Police received a report of a pedestrian accident. When troopers arrived, eyewitnesses said 2 men tried to strip a catalytic converter from a car outside a man's house. They were interrupted when the owner came outside and confronted them. Both suspects tried to flee the scene, and that was when one of them ran over their partner in a pickup truck. As if the getaway couldn't have gone any worse, one of the thieves left his injured partner behind. The one that ran over the other one took off and left his body on the ground for the police to find. The cops identified the injured suspect as James Edward Snyder, who was taken to the hospital before being charged. The other one got away, and there have been no reports of his capture. Number 1. Big rig hit and run. In 2016, the driver of a big rig found himself in serious trouble after running a red light in Vernon, California, and crashing into a vehicle. The big rig went straight through the red light at the intersection near 37th Street and Santa Fe Avenue just after 3 in the morning. Vernon police say the driver collided with a pickup truck, hitting it so hard the pickup got lodged underneath the big rig's trailer. The driver desperately wanted to escape, but wasn't getting very far with a crushed truck stuck under the trailer. So they took the time to unhook the trailer from the cab, then they made their getaway. The driver left the trailer sitting on the crushed truck and fled the scene. When the police arrived, they were shocked to find 2 people stuck in the truck and trapped by the detached trailer. The driver was removed and transported to the USC Medical Center. Unfortunately, though, the passenger of the truck was already deceased. Police found the big rig shortly after, about a mile from the scene. They released the name of Guillermo Ortiz Jr. as the main person of interest, although it was never confirmed who was in the driver's seat. The Vernon detective sergeant called the driver's actions brazen, saying he could have easily stayed and helped the people in the pickup, but instead he took the time to unhitch the trailer and take off. Would you rather get busted fleeing the scene in an extremely embarrassing way, or get caught straight away? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button and come back soon for more videos.